Been in the vending business now for right at 30 years. June 5th, 1985, we bought a vending company there in Bainbridge, Georgia, and got started in having the privilege of serving people through vending. Started as a Pepsi route salesman in the early 80s, and had the privilege of working for a gentleman named Dewey Maximo Langston. He, I don't know, it was really a God thing, to be honest with you, because he came to me one day after working on a route for about a year. He said, he was tongue-tied. He said, I needed some pooter. And I had the privilege of coming off the route back in 1982 and learning a lot. I didn't know anything about computers, but having a lot to learn. Learning a lot about computers, and put the computer system together for them, and went from being a route guy to warehouse manager to office manager to controller to food guy. 1989 was an opportunity for us to buy into the business. I always wanted to be my own business owner. Loved serving people, loved doing business, loved building things, and 1989 he gave me a chance to buy my first 5%, and we split the companies up. And so we're sitting there trying to figure out, what do you call it? And last names were GPL, good products locally, or we came up with one. And he would always say, don't dip me a diet Pepi Tola. And so when it came time to name the company, I'm just sitting there one day, let's just call it Pepi. It was the way my mentor, who is a phenomenal individual, one of the best business guys you've ever seen. That's just how he talked. That's what he would say. So that's how I got started in it, and it just grew and grew from there. Thinking about the opportunities in my life, my faith has been unbelievable in that. It really has been a God thing. Literally in that period of time, I went from being a route guy to the general manager of a Pepsi franchise, having done everything in every aspect of running a bottling operation, and that's a total God thing, because I'm from Flint, Michigan, and I'm down here living in Hazard County. What's the opportunity for a guy from Flint, Michigan, who grew up in the ghettos of Flint, Michigan, to be in South Georgia running a company? It's totally a God thing. You look at Colossians 3:23. It says that that I'm not working for men, I'm working for God, and to do everything heartily as unto the Lord. That was a passion that I have. Being a servant leadership, so it didn't matter what he asked me. Sure, I can do that. Sure, I can do that. Didn't know how to do it, but had the opportunity to learn to do it. And then God put some really cool people in my life that helped me learn. And food, I met Dave Ely up in Atlanta at Innovative Food Concepts. Great Christian brother, still is a great Christian brother. And we learned food together. We designed some unbelievable projects and did some things that, the customers would come to me and say, you guys are doing a great job with this. Can you do that? Oh, yeah, okay, we can do that. How do we do that? But you talk about faith and the impact about faith, and God's just been, his hand has been on everything that's happened in so many different ways. Early on, I went through Larry Burkett's Christian Financial Concepts, and it's God's principles for operating a business, or it's business by the book. And funny, the Bible was probably one of the greatest business books there ever been written. In fact, in the early 1900s, that was the textbook for business school. I don't own this thing. I know the bank has a big share in it too, but he owns it. And when you look at the fact that I'm just a steward, I'm not the owner. I'm here to serve and to be a good steward of what he's given us to do. And so how does it impact? It impacts everything. It's his. So I have to answer to him for how I treat others, for what I do with the resources that I've been given, how I spend my time. So, it's an everyday thing. I love people, I love serving people, I love helping people. And oftentimes it's very difficult to balance the opportunities of the workplace with the opportunities in your home place. There's no doubt about it, bar none. That's one of the greatest struggles. There's 24 hours in a day. It's life. Bring it all together. I guess why all three kids came back and are in the business, because at about 10 years old, they were hanging out with me at the office, or cutting the grass, or making food, but going on catering events. And so family, it's life. And the work-life balance really needs to come together into its life. And then I think as a business owner, I think you really have to balance people and profits. If you get too focused on profits, you're really taking it out of your people. And James chapter 5 says, woe unto you to do that. The other side of this coin would be that I would be so focused on people that I forget to make profit. And sometimes I get guilty of that. Somewhere in there is the ability to take care of people, meet their needs, and at the same time make a profit. The last 3 years of my life have probably been the toughest. My life partner, who I started dating at 14, cutest girl in school, fell in love with her, married her at 18. We've been together for 36 years. Got cancer at the end of 2012. It's just been a really, really tough time. And at the same time, kind of moving a business, moving a family over to Dothan, building new headquarters, taking on new markets, taking on new concepts. We've added 4 new product lines and concepts to our business in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, that's been tough. Been a lot of dark days in the last 2 or 3 years. And you get to that point, and you get to the end of it, and you get on your knees and you look up. And I don't know how you do that without faith, but I can assure you my faith is stronger today, having gone through the storms and had him right there. And there's a peace that comes in the midst of the storm as we turn it over to him that passes all understanding. He says that. It'll guard your heart and your mind so you can think about those things that are beautiful, those things that are right, those things that are good. And I think if you don't have that faith and that peace and that rock, you're going to get washed away, or you could. Or you're going to think wrong thoughts, and you won't have the peace that you need to have to withstand the storms of life. Several things when you think about being afraid to share your faith. Number one is Jesus said, if you deny me before men, I might not know who you are. So if you're afraid to share your faith, you might be a little concerned about what Jesus really did for you. Because really in sharing, it's really just looking at what God's done in your life and sharing what he did with your life. So it's telling your life story. It's really not, it shouldn't be offensive. It shouldn't be something that you're beating them over the head with a book and you're trying to change them into, no, you're just saying, here's what God did for me. This is what happened. Here's my life and the impact that God had in my life. And it's so strong. And the love of Christ that was demonstrated even when I was a sinner, that he would love me and die for me. Why would I not share that? Why would I not share the impact of that on someone else? Who wants to go through life and labor to build their family and their home and not recognize God's hand on it and recognize God's influence on it, and it all be in vain? It's not a duty. It's the love that compels you. I care this much about you. Let me show you what God's done for me. We've been blessed. God's amazing. But by his grace, by his mercy, by his love, our family and the opportunities to serve others and to provide other things, it'd be in vain.